Today we're going to be looking at how to find the slope of a graph. So we're looking at linear equations on a graph, and we're going to try to find the slope of that linear equation. So most of you are already familiar with the equation y equals mx plus b. So we're just going to continue that situation on a graph, finding out that slope of m. So here we go. So let's just make a graph and go from there. Let's just say that we have our points on the graph of 2 and 3. And our next point is 8 and 6. So those are our 2 points on a graph, and we want to know the slope of that. So when we find the slope, we're always going to be looking at the change in. So when we talk about change in, okay, if you remember, slope is equal to m in our equation of y equals mx plus b. Okay, if you remember that equation from algebra, awesome. Now we're looking at a graph, and we're trying to find that slope m. So m is also known as delta y over delta x. And what delta means, it's just a Greek letter for change in. So we're looking at the change in y. How does y change? Does it get bigger? Does it get smaller? And then we also look at x. How does x change on that too? So x goes this way. So m equals the change in y, y2 minus y1. And that 1 and 2, all that means is the points. Just y1 is an arbitrary point and y2 is an arbitrary point. So there's our y1. And that's our y2, or vice versa. We can say this is y2, or y1, and that's y2. It's your choice. As long as you say that those are the 2's and these are the 1's, then we're good. As long as you don't mix them up, say y1 over here and 1 over there, and x2 over here and x1 over there. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So just make it easy. We'll call this our first point. So this is x1, comma, y1. And then we're going to call this one x2, comma, y2. So now we have our x2, x1, y1, y2, and then we're just going to put those numbers into our equation, and we're going to get our answer. So m will equal 6 minus 3 over 8 minus 2. So 6 minus 3, if you remember, is 3. And 8 minus 2, if you're not sure, is 6. So we already watched a video on simplifying fractions. We can simplify that fraction because 3 goes into both of them. So m ends up being 1/2. That is our slope. 1 vertical unit for every 2 horizontal units. So go up. 1, go over 2. Up 1, go over 2. Up 1, go over 2. And notice we have a nice little staircase. So this is 1, this is 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. So 1 on top of 3 is 4, 5, 6. We get to 6. 2 plus 2 is 4, plus 2 is 6, plus 2 is 8. So it gives us our nice slope that we want. Okay? So this is how you find slope on a graph. We'll do another one on a negative slope instead of a positive slope like we just did. So say we have a negative slope. Okay, we have a nice downhill slope. Hold on one second. That's better. All right, so we have a nice downhill slope, and we want to plot 2 points. So I pick this point here and this point here. So we have 2 points on the graph. We plot those points. Say we call this one 1, and we'll call this one 5. We'll call this one 2, and we'll call this one 5. Okay, so this is 1, 5, and this is 5, 2. So we have our 2 points on a graph. Okay, and now we need to use the equation of m equals delta y over delta x. Okay, one more time. M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So we're just going to plug in our values. We'll call this one 2, and then I'll call that one 1. So let me give us, so x2, y2, x1, y1. All right, we have our x's and y's. Notice my 1's are together, my y and x1's. My y and x2's are together. Okay, don't have x1, x2, and then y2 and y1, because that will mess things up. So here we go. y2, 2 minus y1, 5 over x2, 5 minus x1, 1. So we have 2 minus 5 over 5 minus 1. 2 minus 5 is not a positive number. That's a negative number. So we end up getting negative 3 over 4. And we know that's going to be a negative slope because we have a downhill. Okay? It's going down. As we go across, it's going lower and lower, not higher and higher. So that is a correct slope that we want. So a negative slope. So you have a graph, you have an interactive activity where it involves slopes like this, and you have to choose the right slope. So it involves graphs like this, and you have to choose the right slope. So that will be a little bit of practice for you guys. Furthermore, you're going to do a worksheet where I put together a whole bunch of these. If you do not have points given, find out where they cross and choose that. Another great place to choose is where does it cross the y-axis and where does it cross the x-axis. So I'm going to do one more on that and showing you how it crosses the x and y-axis and utilize that information for your slope. So when you do the worksheet, you have about half of them like this where you have your points given, and then you have the other half where your points are not given. You have to decide them. All right, last one. So let's say we have a 4-quadrant system, and that is our line. So this is our x or y. This is our x-axis. Remember, this is negative x. This is positive y. This is positive x. This is negative y. So we're going like that through the quadrant system. So we can pick this point and this point. We just pick them arbitrarily. If they go through the graph nice at a cross of the graph paper, then let's pick those points. So let's say that point was 4. All right, and this point over here was negative 5. Well, we know that at 0, it's at 4. So this is going to be point 0, 4. And then we're going to know that this is a y value of 0, so this is going to be negative 5, 0. Well, that helps you really easily because when you are doing the change in slope, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, well, that's really nice because now we have some zeros that we can plug in. It's going to be really easy to do the math. All right, so let's plug it in. Let's say this is our point 2. And this is R1. Is there a 1 values? Is there 2 values? Let's use them. 4 minus 0. Wow, that was easy. And then we got x2. 0 minus a negative 5. Make sure you put that in parentheses. Remember, 2 negatives equal positive. Put that in parentheses. Okay? This ends up being 4 minus 0 is 4. 0 minus a minus 5. So 0 plus 5 is 5. So that is our slope. 4 over 5. We just found our slope. Without even knowing points, we can find out our slope. Good luck. I will see you in class.